friends, welcome back to my channel. We're here today for a Friday Reads update. It's been a fantastic reading week, but most of the reading I got done at the beginning of the week. So I did the mid-month book bash last weekend and I read a lot and I finished some things, and then I've been kind of on a break since then. So I don't have much to report past the mid-month book bash. I did a reading vlog for the weekend, so we're not going to go into too much depth with those books. But I did want to come on here like my weekly practice. We have a practice now. And just kind of fill you in on what I've been reading since last Friday Reads, just in case you don't watch my vlogs. So, over the weekend, we went to see family. And whenever I go to someone else's house, I usually check out their bookshelves, if they have bookshelves. And I go to visit my in-laws and they have a wonderful collection of books. So I read two books that were on their shelves that weren't on my TBR. So I'll tell you about those first. I read Encyclopedia Brown Boy Detective, which is a kid's book by Donald Sobol. And it's a teenage boy. Is he 10? I think he's 10. And he's helping his father, who's a chief of police, solve mysteries, crimes. He's helping his father, yeah, but he also sets up his own little practice where he charges 25 cents a day for cases. So if you have a mystery that you want him to work on, you can go to him. He does freelance work as well. And it's a delightful read because we're learning about, how without being trained, just by being perceptive, by being aware of your surroundings, by listening very intently to what people say, you can sometimes learn a little bit more than what people just say. So I really enjoyed that. Over the course of the weekend, my husband and I went through several of the books, but I really only finished the first one. I started another one, didn't finish, and then I moved on to other things. But my husband read several of those books over the weekend because he'd read them as a kid, and it was kind of nostalgic for him to revisit those stories. So that was excellent. That was part of our reading weekend, which I didn't capture on film. Aside from that, I read Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, which is a story about a group of people who are lured to an island, and then they kind of start being murdered off one by one. It's creepy. But I just picked up this book and then I realized that it was on like all these lists. Like, I love list challenges. So yeah, I was able to cross another book off a list that wasn't quite on my TBR, but was a book that I'd kind of wanted to get to. I had a conversation with my friends Doris and Heidi and Patrice a few weeks ago. We were talking about Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile because it was a question on Jeopardy one night, and I said to them, even though that book is not on my TBR, I probably will read it just because whenever these novels come up on Jeopardy, I always say, literature is supposed to be my category. So when books are mentioned on Jeopardy, if I haven't yet read them, like I want to read them right away. So I'd kind of put Death on the Nile on my TBR in February. But then I didn't read that. I read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. But I really enjoyed that mystery, and I did not solve the mystery while I was reading the book. I know other people in Goodreads said, yeah, I figured it out. I did not figure it out. I didn't figure it out. If you've read that book and you figured out the mystery, let me know in the comments down below if you did, because wow, I need to give you kudos. So I have something to say about comments, but we'll come back to that later. So aside from that, I finished The Roundhouse by Louise Erdrich, which was on my TBR sometime. It was not necessarily on my February TBR, but it was a book that I had selected to read for a Facebook challenge that I participate in, and so I read that. I have to read another book by Louise Erdrich for the BookTube Prize. I'm judging the fiction round in the octafinals, and her book, The Sentence, has been assigned to me. So I could have switched because the category that I chose her book, The Roundhouse, for was to fulfill a prompt of reading a book by an Indigenous author, and someone else had chosen The Sentence. But I tried to stick to my original reading list as much as I can. I'd already made some substitutions. I'm going in I'm rambling. In any case, I wanted to read The Roundhouse. I did. I really enjoyed it. It's about a boy who's 13 when his mother is attacked on an Indian reservation. They're Indians living on this reservation in North Dakota. His father's a tribal judge, and this boy's coming of age story, kind of understanding some of the nuances in terms of how legal issues are dealt with on a reservation, whether the person who's accused of the crime is Indian or not, and whether the actual land that the crime was committed on is Indian or protected government land. And so it's really interesting how he processes it, and of course his rejection of the idea that there is any kind of ambiguity, and that legal nuances, legal differences could mean the difference between a crime being prosecuted or someone who's accused walking free. And it's a lot about Native culture and Indian history, and I loved it. I soaked it all in because Louise Erdrich is just like a master at communicating the angst, which is not just like, regular teenage angst. It is this it's not just coming of age. It's a growing awareness of our world and our place in it, and our frustration at other people's place in it and what they've done and what they haven't. And she talked about a lot of things in that book, a lot of different kinds of relationships and how people process, how they reconcile their past with where they want to go in life. And it's just so much. One of the things I really enjoyed about this book is that we see a family in a crisis, but how the members of the family support each other and relate to each other, how the man treats his wife as she is recovering from the attack, and his tenderness towards her, and how he lets in his son as they try to figure out what to do and how to deal with, helping the wife to convalesce. It's a beautiful story about love. So I'm really happy that I read that, even though like I said, I didn't necessarily have to anymore. It was on a list that I no longer had to read that book. I could have switched it for something else, but I was really happy because I love the book. So those are the things that I finished over the weekend. I had been working on this. I am just a few pages away from finishing. I was tempted to leave recording this video until I finished, but I don't know exactly how long that's going to take me, and my daughter is taking a nap right now, so I take advantage of the time to make a video when I can. So like I said, still reading Black Boy by Richard Wright, but almost finished. Love the depth that Richard Wright is going to in showing the growth of someone who is born in a time and place where other people around him have kind of accepted their circumstances, but he has this very, very intense ambition, like a hunger for more. Not like he is hungry throughout this book. He's hungry physically for food because his family is impoverished, but he's also hungry for experiences, for awakening. And so he is a complete autodidact, which I love. Like when other people around him are saying, what are you reading and why are you reading that? What are you hoping to get from it? He is not just reading everything he can get his hands on. He's also trying to learn how to write. He's trying to teach himself how to write. And I love how he communicates that growth to the reader. So there are points in this book where his writing is awkward because it's as though he is learning to write as he's telling this story. But he's also sharing with us like sentences that he's tried to write as he copies the masters, or not necessarily copies, but he's learning from them how to express his thoughts and his ideas. And he's showing the difference between his ambition and the other people around him. So I was buddy reading this with Kay, and she's finished. I'm not. But I think maybe she didn't love the book as much as I do. And I understand why. It's not a great book in comparison to other novels that are just like really well told. But I'm just so sympathetic to this character. I so admire this character that even though he may be exaggerating some of the issues that he has faced, like he talks about being persecuted by his family, like they don't understand him, and their religious fervor is what drives them, and they are seeking after following doctrine as opposed to the actual Christian principle, which is taking care of those who are in your life. And so it is him trying to resolve a lot of things in his life, a lot of the people who are supposed to help and support him, but don't, because they are, you know, for one reason or another, they're unavailable. And so I love the change. I love the trajectory of his story, where he starts and where he goes, and you know, the people that he meets along the way and all of that. So not quite finished with the book, but I'm here. I'm using one of my daughter's flashcards as a bookmark. I am at 384 and the book goes to 430 something. And then there's a chronology of his actual life, because this is not complete memoir. It's, I guess, autofiction. But yeah, I'll probably be finished today. I could have waited until I was done to make this video, but I couldn't. So yeah, those are the things that I've been reading this week. I also started reading Harlem Shuffle, Colson Whitehead. I'm going to be buddy reading that with Columbus and Rosalie. And I just went through a few pages, not far enough to really give you any kind of impression about the book. But I will make a video at some point where I talk about that. I may even make a video this weekend. I did film some clips this morning, so I'm not completely lost. Aside from that, I am starting a couple of my BookTube books. I started the final revival of Opal and Nev. I've started reading that, but you know, I can't tell you about my reading of the BookTube prize books. Just know that I'm reading them. So that's my reading week. I had a fantastic reading week, just in general, not finishing things, but making a little progress. I still have another book that I need to finish. My TBR was pretty long this month, and I still have quite a few books by African American authors that I want to read. So I'm going to be reading all weekend. That's the plan. That's the goal. But I wanted to respond to a comment that someone left on my channel. So, you know, a few months ago, I was doing 30 reviews in 30 days, or at least that was the plan. That was the goal. I never actually made 30 videos in 1 month, but I read a lot. And the goal was to propel me towards reading more and actually talking more about what I read. So when I started my YouTube channel, and as my YouTube presence here has grown, I realize more and more the benefits of having discussions with you about the books. So there aren't a lot of people in the other parts of my life where I talk about books, or who I talk about books with. So, you know, I have interactions with my friends, my family, my husband, and usually those conversations can turn towards books. But if they're not reading the same books, then there is a limit to how much I will say about a book. When I make a review, it is with the understanding that maybe one, you are coming to this review because you want to hear what I have thought about a book to make a decision whether or not you want to read it yourself. Or maybe you've already read the book and you want to discuss some of what you felt about the book with me, with someone else who has read the book. And so, you know, there are two kinds of conversations that you can have after watching someone's review. And I try not to give too much information about the book in the videos, because I don't want to spoil the experience of reading for you if you haven't yet read it. So it's not possible to talk about a book without mentioning something about the book. But I try not to go too far into the story. So I have noticed that when I make review videos, the story stays with me longer. So yes, part of the reason that I make review videos is to communicate with you, but it's also to help cement that reading experience for me. Because I like to talk about the before. Before I used to make YouTube videos, and before I used to mark my reading on Goodreads, I've been reading my whole life, and a lot of the books that I read, I can't remember that I read them, or two, I just can't remember what the books were about, because I never had any kind of conversation with anyone about the books. I wasn't doing book reviews. I wasn't writing book reports. You know, you read a book and you're impressed by it, but then it all goes away because you read another book. So I love making review videos. I love making discussion videos. I love coming on here and chatting about the books. And if you don't like review videos, then I understand you don't have to watch the videos. But I assume that if you come to a video and you want to watch and you watch it, it's because you want to watch it. Like no one's forcing you to watch it. So I was really as chuckling because, and I'm only sharing all of that because someone made a comment on a video that I made, like I said, back when I was making 30 reviews or attempting to, a video that I made back then. Someone came on the video. This is months later, and commented. And it's a book by a African American author, so maybe they're coming to this because it's Black History Month. But someone came to the review video and left a comment that said, "No one cares about your thoughts on this book. Like, wait until you." No one cares about your thoughts because you don't have any credentials. So wait until you can make a more informed. There were some typos, so I'm assuming this is what they were saying. Wait until you can make a more informed comments about the book. And I was like, okay. I mean, that's your thought, and I'm not going to go into a back and forth with someone. You can leave any comment you want to. YouTube gives me credit for your comments, whether they're positive or negative. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not here for likes. I'm here. I just told you why I'm here. I want to share my thoughts on the book. And if that helps us to have a conversation, even better. Some conversations I think are not really conversations. You just want to leave a critique and that's it. And that's fine. That's fine. But my credentials are that I'm a reader, that I love books. And as I have read more, because number one, I talk with you guys about books. And so the books that you discuss are the books that I watch other people talk about. I want to read them. And so it makes me want to continue to read. So it's a circle, it's a cycle that I want to be a part of. So I'm probably never going to go to school to be a literature professor. I'd love to someday because I love talking about books. But yeah, I'm probably not going to get those credentials that would make me like a Harold Bloom type of literature expert. So that's not going to happen. But I'm going to keep making YouTube videos about books because that's one of my passions. And that's the reason that I'm here. That's the reason that I know a lot of you guys, and you guys, your friendship, your bookish contributions to my life, but also your other contributions, they make my life just so much better. So I'm never going to stop. So I'm sorry if I offend anyone with my lack of credentials talking about books that maybe other people are more expert at. If you feel that you're more of an expert on the book, then you make a YouTube video and you could even tell me about it and I'll come watch, because I'd love to chat with you about a book that we've both read, and we can discuss spoilers because they're not spoilers to us. We've already read the books. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I offend you, but I'm never gonna stop. So it's not an I'm sorry. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. That's what I wanted to chat about. So that was this week, and I look forward to reading more and chatting with you guys about that even more. And yeah, the credentials are not coming, so don't wait up. But I'm going to be talking about more books soon, so hope you'll come back for that. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you want to hear me, the non-credentialed me, with my uninformed chatting about books that I have read, then yeah, come back for more. And until then, happy reading. Bye.